Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to our BSc Physiotherapy and our Foundation Physiotherapy open afternoon digital talk. My name is Olivia Revitt. I'm a physiotherapist at the University of Leicester. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then I will be doing a short presentation on our programme. I will then be handing over to one of our students, Tiffany, who will talk you through a few slides in relation to the student perspective at the University of Leicester in physiotherapy. So my background is in cardiorespiratory and I've worked in the NHS for many years. I joined the university 3 years ago and I teach across all of the modules. I have personal tutees, I have a teaching qualification, which is very much encouraged across all of the staff as well. So you'd be welcomed coming to the university. So just to give you a little bit of an overview, we work in the School of Healthcare. So within our college, we have a physiotherapy programme, we have an operating department practice programme, we have a nursing degree, a midwifery degree. These are all 3 years long. This year we have now started a radiography degree, which is launching as we speak. We also have a pharmacist prescribing course, and next year we will also be launching a pharmacy programme. So as you can see, our School of Healthcare is growing and we are adding new programmes continually, and we're growing as a larger team. So to encompass how we are growing as a team, we have a healthcare vision, and we just want to share this with you because obviously we'd like to encourage you to choose to come and study with us at the University of Leicester. So our vision is to produce high quality healthcare professionals through class leading and groundbreaking education and scholarship. We encourage creativity and innovation with our professional careers, which is not only reflected in our School of Healthcare vision, but also is in the University of Leicester itself. We intend to improve the health and well-being of populations not only in Leicester but in the whole of the UK and also worldwide through science which is underpinned. We have healthcare services research, enterprise and engagement. We intend to create a supportive and innovative working environment that retains and attracts leading and inspirational academic educators and researchers. You may be aware, or it might be worth having a little look about some of our other information, but we do a lot of leading research within our School of Healthcare, and this will be rolled out further over the next number of years. So you might choose to study at Leicester for physiotherapy, and we'd like you to come and share that journey with us. So we'd like to tell you a little bit about why you should study with us. So we have a huge amount of experience within our department. We have over 16 years of experience within our staff levels. A number of our staff still remain clinically active. So what we mean by that is that a lot of us are on either part-time contracts and we retain our positions in clinical service, either in the NHS, but also through other healthcare providers such as the Ministry of Defence, private healthcare work and charity work. So we find that skill mix really beneficial to train our students because we are able to continue our continuing professional development. We stay abreast of the most recent research and then we can embed this into our teaching. And we find it really helpful to sort of talk to our students about the current climate in the NHS and other working environments. And this really allows us to keep our students up to date with knowledge. We have a number of specialist external tutors. These are tutors who have maybe been involved previously with the course and we have retained their specialism within our programme, but also we attract educators who we will invite to speak on our course through modules to ensure that we can offer the most specialist and diverse teaching throughout our degree. We used to be joined to Coventry University, but we have now been able to be a standalone programme for over 2 years. And this is reflected in our very positive student survey responses. So over the last 2 years, we have hit over 90% student satisfaction in both of those. We encourage our tutors and our lecturers to involve service users where possible, and that might be patients and carers. We will invite them into our sessions, and this really enables students to understand this patient perspective, and really enhances the learning rather than having to look at videos and different sort of speakers talking. It really embeds it when they're able to talk to the patients themselves. And this is enhanced because we still are able to work as clinicians. So you also might think, why should we study at Leicester? So we have sustained high rankings and the National Student Survey scores, and we really sort of empower ourselves by ensuring that the student journey through our BSc and through our foundation year is continually high. We continually reflect and work out how to implement change to ensure that our student survey remains high. So as I previously mentioned, 92% of our students were satisfied with their course. And what this does, it places us in the top 10 of mainstream higher education providers in physiotherapy. So you may be aware that all programmes in the UK need to provide the core physiotherapy curriculum, but we pride ourselves on how we deliver this. We were also 14th in the UK for physiotherapy in the Guardian University, and the University of Leicester as a whole ranks 22nd in the UK. So why is it an attractive place to learn? So we have excellent facilities, and we have access to the dissection room, which is just across the corridor from our physiotherapy programme, where we are able to learn our anatomy in greater depth. We can utilise the knowledge from the doctors who will be running that service, and we can run this through the different streams of neuro and cardiovascular and musculoskeletal. As you can see from these pictures, we have small practical classrooms. There is no tables and chairs as such. We have plinths, and we learn at them, and we learn through excellent sort of practical application in most of the sessions. We pride ourselves on providing excellent pastoral care, and alongside this, each student would have a personal tutor, which is one of the staff like myself. We provide all students with an iPad when they commence on the course, so they can access the virtual learning environment through our Blackboard site. And we offer all students, not just throughout their programme, but also through their dissertations, to be involved in research. So how do we support you? We provide you with an iPad, like I've also already mentioned. All students have personal tutors, and we have those across all of the year groups. As a university-wide, we pride ourselves in pastoral support, so not only within the physiotherapy department, but also within the wider university. There is additional support available to students, and that can come in the form of welfare, well-being, and the accessibility centre, where if students have extra needs, extra learning needs, then reasonable adjustments can be made, and support can occur through our teaching and also through our assessments. We support students who go out onto placement. So placement is usually equivalent to approximately 1,000 clinical hours to be able to have an approval with the Healthcare Professions Council and to be able to practice as a physiotherapist. So we have a tutor support system when students are on placement. So students will have not only their clinician in their workplace, but also a visiting tutor from the university. We also have a very vibrant and loud student staff committee. We like to hear the student voice, we like to respond, and we like to make the student journey as positive as possible. We also have a really active physiotherapy society. So as I've already briefly mentioned, our staff are key, I think, to making our journey for these students and yourselves, if you come to choose to study at Leicester, really positive. So a lot of us are lecture practitioners. We have national and international research profiles. So we have members of the team who are undergoing their PhDs, teaching certificates such as the PG CAP or the PG Cert. We also have lecturers who have displayed their research at conferences, both nationally and internationally. And we also pride ourselves on taking students with us and presenting their knowledge as well. We're highly qualified clinicians. The majority of us will hold MScs and further education degrees. We are all trained as personal tutors, and we're really passionate about physiotherapy and have that common drive to help students succeed. And we hope that comes across not only in the open days that we provide virtually like today, but also when students come for interviews and the open days face to face. This just shows a very quick representation of us, because it's nice to talk about us as lecture practitioners, but sometimes it's nice to put sort of face to names. We have a widespread across genders, across musculoskeletal, across the neurological, and also across cardiorespiratory. So our courses themselves, we have two on offer. We have the 3-year BSc Physiotherapy programme. Obviously, this is a full-time programme undertaken at the University of Leicester. We are face-to-face programme. We limit the amount of information that is delivered virtually. So we will front load some of the information to be accessed by Blackboard, but all of our sessions and seminars are practical and face-to-face with lecturers. We also offer a BSc programme with a foundation year, which is 1 year further, and both of these are options through the UCAS pathway. We'll also be really excited that we will be offering a MSc integrated degree programme in physiotherapy, which will be commencing in 2024. So you might ask then, how is our programme different from other physiotherapy degrees? I've also already mentioned that we need to deliver the 1,000 clinical hours, but how we do that is governed by ourselves. And we have a lot of experience, and we have a number of external examiners within our team. So we're able to look at other programmes across the country and see what works best. And I hope that then we embed that into our own style of learning. So we have got a spiral curriculum. What this means is that we build on the basics through year 1 into year 2 into 3. So we build on the knowledge from your A levels through anatomy, pathophysiology into the second year, where we then hone in on your clinical skills in the 3 specialities, which is musculoskeletal, cardiorespiratory and neurology. We also provide extra learning through how to communicate with each other, communicate with your patients, and that's usually through the modules such as professional development, but I'll go on to that a little bit more shortly. We also pride ourselves in interprofessional education. So we run programmes with the medical school, with the nurses, with the midwives, with the ODP. So we will do collaborative learning, and we will join together with those other students on those other courses to understand their profession. They will understand ours. So when the students move into the workplace, into the NHS, they will have a better understanding. We have blended learning with some online, but minimal online. The majority of ours is face-to-face teaching in small groups. We pride ourselves on small practical sessions. So our staff to student ratio is approximately 15 students to 1 staff. And just to give you a context of the course, we average out approximately 20 contact hours per week, with students expected to mirror that with their self-directed practice. So it is very much a full-time degree, but we're supporting students throughout that on how best to learn. There's a lot of information on this slide, so I just want to pick that apart a little bit before we move on. So this identifies the year 1, year 2 and year 3. You can see that we have session 1 and session 2. So session 1 commences in October and finishes in January, and then session 2 commences in the February and finishes down into sort of June, July time. As you can see, the green modules are our anatomy, our pathophysiology and our clinical modules. As I mentioned previously, these build throughout the first year into the second year into the third year. We also then have the orangey coloured ones, which are professional development. So the skills of communicating, becoming a reflective practitioner, how to manage patients, how to engage with them, and how we can nurture our own skills as an individual. This is built on throughout the 3 years. And you can see then how the blocks of blue are built upon. Practice education is when we send students out into placements, and they will be building up their caseload throughout their second year and third year. They have a short introduction in their first year. But essentially, this is when in the blue blocks they complete the 1,000 clinical hours. So students will be placed in NHS settings, private settings, charity settings, where you will be supported to complete your education in a variety of different areas. In a little bit more detail here, I can just show you year one. Obviously, when we've just commenced with our year one students at the moment, you would come along and we would teach you anatomy and pathophysiology. And we would also be teaching you some basics in the professional development of how to be a reflective practitioner, working with other people. And then in the second semester, where the students are going to be starting in February, you would be introduced to some research, which is the yellow module there, and also building on some of the skills from the first semester. Year two starts building into more of the specialist skills. As you can see, we've got clinical skills, which again, we're running for the second years at the moment. They have musculoskeletal, they have cardio-respiratory, and they also have neuro. After Christmas, students go out into clinical placement for 6 weeks. It allows them to really engage and embed themselves with all of those skills that they've been learning. They return to us to start some more research around Easter time, and they also pick up the second module of professional development. After Easter, they go back out onto placement for a further 6 weeks into a different area, a different clinical area. They then come back and consolidate some of that knowledge and finish off those 2 modules that they commenced before their Easter. And in the third year, as you can see, we have 3 modules here of clinical placement, because essentially within a couple of months of finishing, students will be in job roles. So the third year is very much dedicated to increasing that contact with patients, increasing people's caseloads, increasing their clinical knowledge and clinical reasoning. You can still see that throughout this we have clinical skills modules, but there's also a strong emphasis on research through a dissertation project, and that is designed in conjunction with the staff, and students will deliver that throughout that third year into a final written document of 5,000 words. So the practice education, as I've previously mentioned, they were the blue blocks that I had included. So in year one, we offer just a short 3 to 5 day block of observation in year one, just to get students aware of what they may be engaging in when they go into year 2 and year 3. In year 2, they have 6 weeks placements. They have 2 of those. And in year 3, they have 2 6-week placements and 1 5-week placement, which is just towards the end, which is our caseload management. We have a wide area of location, but this is including but not limited to the Leicestershire area, the county of Rutland, Northampton, Kettering, Peterborough, up north in Shipley, which is Yorkshire. And in the last year, we're really excited to be launching our own in-house clinic where students will be spending their placements. Currently, all students in their second year will go up to Yorkshire to a provider where we have excellent connections with, and we allow all students to move through this placement with support. All students will have a clinical educator and a visiting tutor, which is our staff, and there is peer and staff support available through the Blackboard site throughout. So students are supported from both sides, the university side and the placement side. And all clinical uniform is provided by the university. We also offer a wide variety of experiences. So I mentioned the areas, but we have NHS, we have community, we offer placements in research, we have high-level sports such as the Leicester Tigers and the Women's Leicester City Football Clubs. We have charities such as the Get Busy Living Matt Hampson Trust. We have the voluntary sector, we have leadership placements, GP practices, to name just a few. And in the last year, again, we are excited to be able to offering more sort of diverse experiences. And we had 2 of our students who went over to us for 6 weeks across to Zanzibar and Tanzania to understand, alongside the midwifery students, how we can provide physiotherapy for different populations. We have also joined with the Cleveland Clinic down in London as a not-for-profit placement opportunity. And as mentioned, we also have our in-house clinic. So the NHS Learning Support Funds. So you may be aware that students, if you enrol with us, you can get a training grant of £5,000 per academic year. There's parental support, and there's reimbursements of excess costs incurred on placements. This is travel and dual accommodation expenses. So students are informed that if they have to go on a placement where they have to travel to or have extra accommodation, that extra accommodation and travel fees will be reimbursed to the student. They will be expected to make the initial outlay, but you as students will be then reimbursed with that in a short time period. You might also wonder how employable you are after you have become a physiotherapist, and the employment opportunities are excellent. It's worth having a look at sort of the NHS plans just to understand the position of the physiotherapist within the future. But we have excellent clinical placement profiles. We have many students who are offered jobs whilst they are finishing their year 3 placements from our local providers. A number of students gain employment before they have finished with us, and so when they finish they can move into that profession straight away. And we have links with the NHS, private healthcare such as the Nuffield, military rehabilitation such as the DMRC, and we have charitable healthcare providers as well. So it's really an exciting place to come to study, because you will have employability, but we also talk to you about the different diverse areas that you can join afterwards or where you can structure your career. So how would you apply to Leicester? Application is through UCAS. We ask you to have GCSE subjects in grade Bs or the equivalents to a 6 in English, language, maths, plus a grade C or a 5 in 4 other subjects, including or a combined or single science. Unfortunately, general studies, critical thinking and the EPQ are not currently accepted, but please do have a look or contact our admissions tutor if you have any more questions. We also have the Armed Forces into Allied Health programme, so if you are interested in that, we welcome your admissions. And also international applicants must have an IELTS score of 7 with no single element below 6.5. As you can see here, the entry requirements are slightly different. We look for a BSc of an ABB, including biology, human biology or PE. We also look if A levels have not been taken, then BTEC nationals with past diplomas with a DDD in a health related subject such as sport and exercise science, and an access to HE diploma as well will be considered. For the foundation year, we're looking for a BBC, and as you can see, we have the equivalents there with a BTEC national and the access to HE diploma. We have our BSc and our foundation year application process. So all suitable applicants who apply through UCAS will be invited for a face-to-face interview. All offers are subject to a satisfactory health clearance and Criminal Records Bureau disclosure. We suggest that if there is any criminal records on a student's record, that they discuss it with us, because not all are exempt. So please do contact us and we can talk them through on a case-by-case basis. And all applicants must be over the age of 18 by the start of the course, which will be September. We encourage a personal statement, and there is a few tips here if you consider these when you are writing it. So it should be aligned to the NHS values-based recruitment framework. You should demonstrate a broad understanding of physiotherapy and the role of the physiotherapists. We also want to know about why you are suitable candidate for a place on our course, and it'd be amazing if you can give us a clearly articulate examples of what you think it takes to make a good physiotherapist. And often if you can detail any experience that you've had, either observational in the area of physiotherapy or other transferable skills. What are we looking for in students? So we are looking for students to have empathy, the ability to care for each other. We want people to be treated with respect. We want people to be able to thrive with responsibility and leadership. And we want students to have the ability to manage uncertainty, and they're resilient and the ability to solve problems. We will culture these skills, but it'd be amazing if students can come along with those as well, and we will help nurture them. Please contact us if you've got any questions. Sarah Gold is Head of Physiotherapy and she is Programme Lead. Please take down her email address if you would like to. And we also have an active Twitter account and also a student Twitter account. And we'll have a general email box, which is for general inquiries. So that's physiotherapy@leicester.ac.uk. I will now stop sharing my screen and we will share. The student, Tiffany, will be showing you a few slides of her experience and she'll be talking you through that.
Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany and I'm a second year student in the University of Leicester studying physiotherapy. So my views for physiotherapy in University of Leicester is really positive because firstly, our course is really practical in nature and it is really interactive. Most of the classes we have are really fun and it is really interactive. For example, we have anatomy. And in anatomy, we are not just sitting down and listening to the theories, listening to the lectures. We are actually finding different kinds of muscles in each other. So we have our friends lying on the plinth and we like do palpation and we find the muscle of them. And we also have Kahoot and Top Hats, and we use them for competitions, and we also use them to help us with learning. We also have competitions after we finish the upper limb and the lower limb in the anatomy course, and it really helps out with the revisions. Secondly, the lecturers provide us a lot of support. All of them are really nice and they give us feedback during our course, and they try to give me feedbacks when I do the wrong palpation or if I do a different kind of test on my friend. They will be like, oh, you did something wrong, and they will try to correct us. And it is really useful for us to learn from them. And we usually have 1 week in our timetable as a revision week where we have when we have questions, we can ask them. And before our off skis, that is before exams, we got this week and we can totally use it to practice like different kinds of skills on each other. We also develop our skills step by step. As what Olivia just said, we have a spiral curriculum, which means that the modules we have are interrelated. And I think that it is really useful for us to learn, because if we know that everything we learn is interrelated and it relies on each other, and we kind of learn things much more better than like learning it without knowing this if it was like important or not. And last but not least, physiotherapy is a really fun course and it is really exciting. Like, for example, when I first used the stethoscope, I think it is really amazing and it feels like it feels really fun. And when you actually use it, it feels like you are a really really useful person and you kind of like learn different kinds of skills. And when I first go to the dissection room, it was a little bit scary at first, but when you get used to it and when you get to learn different things, we learn different kinds of muscles from the cadavers, we think that it is actually really fun and it is really useful because we can actually learn the real muscle and we can see it, and it makes us picture everything together. And these are the pictures I have when in my first year. So in the left picture, it is us drawing our foot in our anatomy class, and we kind of learn different kinds of bony landmarks and muscles on our feet. And in the middle picture, it is the competition I just talked about, and it is the like competitions we have, and all the white strips you see on the skeleton, they are all indications of the muscles, and the yellow strings are the nerves. And in the right picture, it is a art and craft, which we made it in neuro session. It makes us really easy to memorize it, and when you color it and when you attach the strings into it, you kind of learn all the things much more easier. And I think physiotherapy is really fun, and I hope you guys apply to physiotherapy in our uni. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll just see if there's any questions.
Hi, Olivia. Yeah, we do have some questions. So what does a typical day look like for a physiotherapy student?
Okay, I guess we could both answer this. If I go first, Tiffany, and then you can sort of give it from the student perspective. So, as we said, across the year 1, 2, and 3, if we typically say a first year, the student will be in most days. So we might have a practical session in the morning. So we start at about 9 o'clock. There might be a 2 or a 3 hour session. So we would finish from sort of 11, 12. And then students may have an afternoon to consolidate their learning, or they might go into another session. So we will front load a lot of the information for students to watch online prior to the session. So I would say a typical day is coming in practical kit, in small groups, engaging in some of the learning, looking at the material, maybe then having some lunch. We've got the IV restaurant, we've got a campus which has got lots of amazing things to do. We've got a great sport department that students can go to. If they're in an afternoon session, it'll be coming back to our building into our sort of purposely used spaces and engaging in some more learning. We'd encourage students to then probably go home, have some dinner, have some downtime. It might be then a time to some sort of consolidate some of their own learning, but that can be spread out through the week. So we very much encourage having a balance of working, but also having their well-being and doing things that nurture themselves. So we certainly support a lot of learning, but a lot of free time as well. Tiffany, do you want to give it from a student's perspective?
I think physiotherapy is not as packed as medical students. Like I got some of the medical friends and they're like, the timetable is really packed. But for physio, I think I usually got sessions from 9 to 12 because I'm second year, so it will be 9 to 12. And then afterwards, I usually go back home and I might go to the library if I have exams afterwards, then I'll go to the library. And usually I go back home at night and then I eat some dinner and afterwards I do some panoptos. It's like online lecturing. And when you do some online lecture after that and then you go to school the next day. And I think you can handle it really well because it is not really packed and you can get like leisure time in the middle. And I think it is not a really hard course, I would say.
I guess the difference is when people go out on placement, that's probably a little bit more like a full-time job. So that's not until the second year though, but that is like living in the shoes of a physiotherapist, and 8:30 till 4:30, very much an immersion in that clinical placement. But again, the students are very well supported and they actually love applying their knowledge in that setting.
Okay, that's great. We've got another question has come in. Is the interview online, group or individual?
Okay, so we run face-to-face interviews, which we pride ourselves on meeting every single applicant who comes through UCAS. We run those throughout sort of November, sort of now all the way into next year. So students are invited to come along and there will be a group interview section where we would mark them on their engagement, their communication, their problem solving skills, and then all applicants are also offered alongside that they will also participate into a one-to-one interview. So we allow that individual to shine themselves and tell us a little bit about why they want to be a physio and what has sort of led them to choose our course in particular. So we very much encourage them to come and have a look round because the fit should be as right for us choosing the student as much as the student wanted to choose us as a team. If there is international students, then we will host those interviews online.
Okay, how many applicants do you get and how many places and how many are interviewed? Okay,
so we have very oversubscribed. Unfortunately, we have a cohort size this year of 80. We've moved from 30 upwards to 60 up to 80 over the last sort of 3 to 4 years, because we know that we're producing really high class physios. We've got more space, we've got more staff. So to be able to get onto that for the BSc, we will have 80 to 85 going into 2024. So yes, we will probably have over 400 to 500 people apply. So it's important to try and make the personal statement stand out. Tell us a little bit about why you want physio. It's important to do that and not sort of blur the lines maybe with what other courses that you might want to go on. We need to see that specific drive to want to be a physiotherapist and what are those skills that you think you can develop. We are there to help you develop them, but if you can come along with communication skills, empathy, care, compassion, problem solving, then we can certainly help nurture them.
So still on the subject of interviews, do you offer places as you interview or after all interviews have taken place?
So we will have to interview everybody and then we feed them back through to UCAS, and then students will be offered places and then they will be able to accept them if they're conditional or unconditional. We very rarely go through clearing. So if you know you'd like to come to Leicester, it's definitely worth applying as soon as you can.
And do you interview before the UCAS deadline?
We've started our interviews already. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll do it anywhere from November now all the way through to, I think, March time.
Another question that's just come in. Can we apply now for the integrated MSc for 2024 entry?
So what I suggest is that you email Sarah Galt, which was sg202@leicester.ac.uk, if we can possibly pop that in the chat, and show an expression of interest. So Sarah is collating anybody who is interested, and then we will be forwarding the documentation, how to apply and what the course looks like in due course.
And on the subject of integrated MSc, what are the entry requirements for it?
Again, it would be worth asking Sarah in that email. So we are sort of compiling those sorts of questions at the moment and those answers.
Okay. So some other questions that have come in. How is physiotherapy different at university compared to school?
Okay, so I'm not entirely sure about this one because we don't obviously teach it at school, but at university we are equipping you with the skills that you'll have potentially gained through GCSE, through A-levels, the equivalent maybe BTECs, so a strong emphasis on biology, human movement, but also those softer skills of communication, engagement, rapport, trying to problem solve, and being able to diversify those skills across patients who are maybe musculoskeletal, who may be in palliative care, to learning disabilities, to paediatrics, to children, to charities. So it's really diverse how we sort of will do that. But we prepare you for the workplace and we give you the skills to be able to get a job as soon as you leave us.
And yeah, what careers can I go into if I do physiotherapy?
Okay, so the most obvious is physio, but physio, like I said, covers all of those different areas that I've just mentioned. So you could work in the NHS and work your way through the different bandings. Some may then go into management, some may go into research, some will then go into different areas such as charity work, but as a physiotherapist. Some may move into a private sector, either working for other private providers, such as Nuffield or Spire, or even creating their own business, which a number of us have done in the past. There is the Ministry of Defence, there is private sporting teams, and obviously lecturing. So the world of physio is you've got the skills and you can go in essentially to anything, but also it's a foundation that you will have a degree by the end of it. So for any reason you choose not to be a physiotherapist, then it will be a degree that you can take forward into any other postgraduate courses or areas of work. The skills we give you are what take you forward. So problem solving, clinical reasoning, great communication skills, things like that.
And so the final question we've received so far is, what support is there for students to find a placement for a year in industry?
So we don't currently do electives. We provide all of that. It's a 3-year course and we build 1,000 clinical hours into our programme. So all students go out on fixed blocks of placements, but we feel that we really have diversified where we offer placements at the moment. So we don't currently ask students to look for other opportunities. If they have a significant interest, we suggest that students go and explore those in their summer breaks and across Christmas and Easter, when students will have 2 to 3 weeks off if they choose to get more diverse experience.
Another one that's come in on top of that is, are there any elective placements?
No, we don't currently offer those. I would say the closest to an elective is our Tanzania, our Zanzibar one, where we ask students to put themselves forward as to why they think they would be suitable to go onto that very unique placement. But at the moment, we don't offer electives because actually we satisfy the 1,000 clinical hours with such diverse placements anyway.
And those are all the questions we've had so far.
Super, thank you. Tiffany, was there anything else you wanted to share from a student's perspective on any of those questions that I've answered?
Not really.
Okay, how was your placement experience? Do you want to offer anything on that?
So because I'm second year only, and I went to the Glenfield Hospital for 3 days just for MSK outpatient, and MSK outpatient is really busy. And I heard from my friends, and they said they went to wards, and it was like not really busy comparing to the MSK outpatient. But generally, it is really fun because you get to you get to see the physiotherapist, and you get to see real patients, and you get to see how they interact with each other, and it will and like you can't learn everything from theories, and when you go out on placement, you actually see the patient and you know what does it mean for like rupture ACL, or you see what the disease really, what the disorder really like tells you. So it's like really fun.
Super, thank you very much. If there's any other questions, please pop them in the chat. We certainly would welcome you to apply through UCAS as soon as you can. Feel free to join us on any of our face-to-face open days. Obviously, follow us on Twitter. You can email our programme lead, Sarah Galt, to inquire about the foundation year, the 3-year BSc, and also our MSc programme, which will be up and running by September 2024.
Yeah, no, one more question has come in. So what if someone doesn't have any entry requirements, such as a 6 in maths, but have passed with a 5? Would we be able to still apply?
Again, I would suggest maybe emailing Sarah Galt, or because it may be that if you apply but you're able to either retake that to get it to a 6. We do try and stick to that criteria, because obviously the level of learning we would need to have through that would be important. But certainly we do still look at case by case, so please don't think if you haven't got that grade that we wouldn't consider you. Please do, because obviously since doing the maths you may have got a really good sort of A-levels and other things, so it wouldn't just be overlooked if you got the 5. Okay, so please don't be put off. And there's so many different routes into it, and I think that's the important thing. We used to just be, many physiotherapy degree programs used to just be by A-level, but the routes into us now are far more broad, and we really encourage people to come from different areas. We do have a lot of students who come with a gap year or straight from their A-levels, but we also have a number of mature students. And when I say that, it's anywhere from maybe 23 all the way up to 50. So some people have had careers in other areas of professions, nothing to do with healthcare, and they then come onto our programme and they have got different things to share with us, different ways to learn. So we do have that really good spread of age groups. So I would say that it's a really nice degree to sort of meet different people on. There's no sort of everybody's sort of straight out of A-levels. So please don't be put off. And also we have a number from the armed forces as well coming through.
We've had a question come in for Tiffany. Did you live with other physio students in the first year?
So because I didn't do foundation year, and I come straight from school, so I didn't live with other physio students because I just live in the accommodation provided by the school, and there are loads of different kinds of accommodation around University of Leicester. So we got Freeman's, which is the new one, and then we also got Next one, which is the older one, but the next one probably is cheaper than the new one. So it is quite close to campus and the main campus. And yeah, I think living with other people, like not with physio students, is better, because you get to know more about like different kinds of student in different kinds of course. And for example, last year my flatmates, 2 of them are from medicine, so I get to know like what do they actually learn. You get to know different kinds of MDT members, like future MDT members, and then some of my friends said if you live with physio students, it makes you really stressful all the time, because you get to like talk with them like in visual wordings, or you talk with them about schoolwork. But living with visual student is actually fun, because you get someone to ask to. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of the first years are often in halls. They might not be with physios, but certainly by year 2 and 3, they tend to join up together, all different people on healthcare degrees, because there is a lot more face-to-face. You can practice on each other. There's a better understanding of sort of the commitment to the work. Yeah.
We have one final question that we'll be able to do. How many weeks a year is the course, and is it longer than standard?
So students will enroll with us in October, first week of October. They then work all the way up to sort of mid December, so sort of that's a good 10, 11 weeks. They then return after a 3-week break after Christmas. So they come back on sort of the 11th, 10th of January. They have a reading week, which breaks up semester 1 and semester 2. And then we start semester 2, which is February. There's an Easter break of 3 weeks, and then we run all the way through from April all the way down to sort of June. So 2 semesters, about 10, 11 weeks each. And then there's a nice summer break. But obviously we encourage students to either have some downtime, definitely, but also to maybe consolidate some of their learning, and also maybe if they want to go and do any extra experience somewhere.
There was one final one that did come in that somebody has asked, if you apply for the foundation year and get grades suitable for the 3-year BSc, would you be able to apply for this course instead on results day?
I believe so. So I think if you apply for it, then I believe then that is that you can apply. If you get your grades, you'll be offered the higher one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all we'll be able to have time for.
Super. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us today, everyone. We hope that you found the session helpful and informative. Please go onto our website if you wish to find out more information.